Well, it's a beautiful day to do an oil change in an apartment where they say you're not allowed to do oil changes. So let's be quick about this. You're going to need a 5/8 wrench, new oil, 6 quarts of 10W or 5W30 if you have a Jeep Cherokee. You might want to get a pipe wrench, and once again for the Jeep Cherokee, I recommend doing a new oil filter every time. It's just, why would you wash your clothes through a dirty washer? You get it, well, that's not a good metaphor actually. Ignore the metaphor. Get a new oil filter, it's better. And that's a 51-51-6 Wicks from O'Reilly's. Here's pretty much what we need for the oil change. A cone for pouring the new oil in to the vehicle. A catch can, so it doesn't just pour everywhere. The new Wicks oil filter, and if you get these at O'Reilly's in Pollock, they donate that, and it's kind of like the old cereal boxes where you donated a box tab thingy, and money goes to somewhere they say is good. Who knows? I don't trust companies. 10 quarts, because we're draining out 6 quarts. So this should be plenty fine. You can take this back to O'Reilly's and they'll dump the oil for you for free. Living in Washington, I've developed the habit of anytime I am going to do engine work, and remember to open your hood. That's step number 1. Anytime I do engine work, I like to run the vehicle at least an hour beforehand for a while, and that helps any possible bolts that you may have that are, seized up or tough to get out. So now, prep work. Make sure your vent is open so that the water or the oil can bubble out. Take the cap off. Slide this into place. Now, where exactly is into place? That is not a straightforward answer. I've done this on this vehicle multiple times, but you'll see that this is where the oil comes out. This is your drain plug. Zoom in there. And so when it comes out, it'll initially shoot out very far over towards here. But once it loses pressure, it's going to be dripping straight down, if not even coming back that way. So once you pull that plug, you are going to want to be watching this, and you're going to have to move it, playing catch the baby, pretty much. Now, the first thing we do is we go up top, and we're going to take off the cap so it can suck down and release pressure. Now, this cap right here is where we both fill, and we're going to pop this off, so that when we pull the drain plug in the bottom, you want to be sure not to get any dirt or grime into the hole. That can be very bad for your engine. Hole right there, so we'll put the funnel into that. Secondary thing, at least on this Jeep Cherokee, let me get you where you can actually see it. That is your oil filter, and you can typically find your oil filter if you have an inline engine, it will be on the side opposite of the exhaust. And if you have a V8 or V6, good luck, Google it. Everything is on YouTube. Well, I'm under the car, got the 5/8 drive, and we're ready to go. We've got the top cap undone so that there's an ability to... Sorry about that. There's the ability for the oil to move, and try not to be in the blast zone, and get your socket off before you've backed it off too far so it doesn't get stuck between the transmission and the pan, if you can. I'm actually going to go grab a wrench. 5/8 socket wrench. Now you want to be kind of careful, especially if this is your first time, because this will just pop once it gets to no threads from the pressure of the oil. So I almost push against the oil pan while I'm doing this. It's almost there. Like I said, you're ready for the money shot. And there's the money shot. And like I said, you can see it's pouring here and over here. And you do want to be careful not to do this too soon after renting your vehicle, because this oil can be very hot. And like you saw, it splashed around. And that's also why we wear the gloves. We're going to let this keep draining for a while, just to get all the old gunky oil out. And that's why I do really like these pans. They pour into the pan and they collect in the bottom, so you don't just have a turkey tray of oil. I'm going to take these off, get a fresh pair, and clean up some of this spilt oil. And then once this is done draining, we're going to put this back in before we start filling. Well, as you can see, for the most part, the drainage has stopped. So now we are going to replace, and by replace, I mean literally just put back. Be careful to just hand tighten this. You never want to cross thread something like this. And just hand tight on this. Now's the fun part. Climb in the engine bay. Reach in here. Try not to cut yourself, burn yourself, or in any way maim yourself. And spend a bunch of time trying to crank that off. Sometimes you're going to have to do a whole lot of angling and getting in there. And if you have a circle clamp or a pipe clamp, it can be very beneficial for getting this off. I'm going to reach in from the bottom right now, see if I can get a better angle. If not, I'm going to do one of the many tricks, including duct tape, that I know. Now we've got our pipe wrench, and I put duct tape on the oil filter. And I do that for two reasons. These things are typically going to be covered in oil and pretty slick, and sometimes these don't have the best traction. So that also makes it a bit thicker, as well as giving it a bit more traction. And then you put it in here with the handle on the opposite side, and as you can see, it just having gription over the whole thing loosens it super easily. There's a vacuum tube right here that should be connected to something. I'll have to figure out what that's supposed to be connected to before I start driving again. And so now we've got that. You can see it's leaking oil down into the drip pan. That's why I put it directly below it. So I'm going to take that off, put it down in the drip pan, and then put the new one on, and then we can start filling the new oil. We've got our old oil filter, and as you can see, it is full of oil, just like the rest of it. It's probably should have been replaced earlier, but I'm lazy, and it's a Jeep, so it can handle it. And remember, you can take this stuff to O'Reilly's, Les Schwab, random places, and they will drain your oil for you. They won't take the container, but you can just keep the container and use it for your next oil change. I believe they also take your oil filters for no cost. I think they get paid to recycle it. So that's where you can take that stuff and keep your container for next time, and it'll save you a couple bucks. And that's how you make this cheaper than taking it somewhere and having them do your oil change. Now we're ready to start putting new stuff on. So here we have the same 5156. I just like to compare them to make sure everything's the same. Now you want to oil this beforehand. I don't know why, I just, internet says to. So, we have a new oil filter on, caps open, oil's drained, and that plug is back in. So you know what that means. It's time to put the new oil in. So you're gonna take your funnel. You're gonna put it right there. Then you're gonna go get your 6 quarts of oil. And you're gonna fill it up. I like to start with a big jug, as mine are 6 gallons. And then if I have any left over out of the small jug, it's easier to keep the small jug. Pretty much my logic. And our oil line's just about at the add to safe section. So we're gonna add that 6th quart, and we're gonna check this again in 500 miles a week, you know, whatever floats your boat. And possibly add more. Possibly drain some. You can add too much. That over compression of your engine would be very bad. So there's about a quarter left in that, so I added another 3/4 of a quart. And you can hear it draining through the vehicle. Possibly. I can hear it draining through the vehicle. Or draining through the block. Replace the oil cap, and it should turn 90 degrees. Mine is on a Jeep, should be perpendicular to the axle, no, parallel to the axle. Axle runs right there. It should be right there. Make sure you've got your oil filter hand tight, but you know, tight enough that it's not going to leak, but not so tight you break nothing. So make sure this plug is tightened good enough that it's not going to leak any of that brand new oil you just put in. And that's the whole process. You might want to let this sit a little bit to let the oil drain down to the bottom and fill in your oil filter. Do remember to check it 500 miles a week. You know, you can never check it too much. Then that's pretty much how you replace the oil in your Jeep Cherokee XJ. Thanks for coming along. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you want to see next time. And remember, if some guy can do it,